5 minutes pass, and then he just asked me for my number. And then I'm like, cool. And then I'm still holding the plate of food, so I walk over to where my friends are, and then I died.
Hello and welcome to Kept in Her Heart, where we talk about all things faith-related. I'm your host, Jenny Fuchs. Today, Evie, my daughter, joins us to tell us her faith story and a very interesting time when God actually helped set her up with her boyfriend.
When I went to college, and I picked the University of Mary in Bismarck, North Dakota, which I picked because basically as soon as I went to tour it was the first college I toured. I was like, this is Christian community right here, and I didn't look anywhere else. I was like, this is where I want to go. So I did, and it was really good. I connected with my roommate. I had some good friends, switched my major 3 times, normal first year college student things. And as I was going along, I like a little crush like the first week or so that didn't end up going anywhere, and then after a little bit I just felt really convicted to like, you know what, I'm just gonna push aside everything else right now, and I'm going to work on my relationship with God and just get closer in that. So I heard that a lot of my friends were doing the Marian consecration, so I like looked it up, picked a date, was working on it, and so that was kind of what I was in the middle of it. And so this was probably middle of October, and I get another crush, which was more serious. Literally just like walked past him in the hallway or something. Don't know the guy's name, don't know anything about him. I was just like, he's cute. And like enough that I like looked around specifically for him to like try and pick him out again after that like first impression. And then I don't remember how it came up, but I think I must have pointed him out to one of my friends, and she was like, oh, you mean Nick? And I was like, oh, you know him. Turns out they had met at some point, and she remembered who he was. And it kind of like, the first week not so bad, but I kind of just started learning more and more things about him because we had like 15 mutual friends, and I started questioning how on earth we had never met before this, like I'd never met. But while that was happening, I was also one part of me that was like, this is kind of like distracting to me because I'm the kind of person who just gets like, will wander off in thought really easily about like all the time. So I was like, this is also distracting, and I don't want to get into a relationship right now, even if anything did happen, because I'm still trying to work on my relationship with God. And so I was like struggling with that because I'm like, oh, I keep like thinking or worrying about this, but also like I should be just focusing on God. And so I was like really going back and forth for a while. I'm like, until I got to the point where I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna like try and go and talk to him. And then it never like worked out.
Yeah, didn't you try like 3, 4, 5 times?
No, this is, it was just like, I was kind of struggling with that of like, okay, well I should just like, it's not gonna work out. So I should just go like learn something about him or like talk to him, and then I'll just get over it, because then I can just keep going. That was my plan. Mm-hmm. And eventually I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave the timing all up to God. I'm not gonna like be all like, girls when they have a crush, they try and like arrange something. I'm not gonna do anything like that. I'm just gonna, against my desires, but I'm just gonna like sit back, let God handle it, and just go through my life. And if an opportunity comes up, then I'll go up and say something. If not, whatever. Because I kept learning more stuff about him, and he like was a psychology major, and I love psychology, and like he liked video games and different things like that. It was just like, these are all good things. Like I was like, can someone just please tell me as a girlfriend so I can get over this? But But yeah, and then like 3 weeks passed, and I'm still doing my Marian consecration and stuff. And there kept being so many missed opportunities, like near missed opportunities. Like I'd walk into somewhere and my friend's like, oh yeah, he just left. Like he was just talking to me and then he left. Or there was literally one day when there's always this one table that me and my friends sit at. And it was the one time in like 3 weeks we hadn't been sitting there at like in the afternoon, because I went to go study somewhere else, but you could still see in through the windows. And he was sitting like 2 spots down from where I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, God does not want me to meet this man. But eventually, I think it had been 3 weeks, and I was in like the last week of my Marian consecration, and it was like a couple days after Thanksgiving. We had just come back from that, and I was just literally like walking with a plate of food over to where my friends were, and I see one of my like acquaintances playing some video game, and it looks interesting. So I go over to ask him about it, and Nick is sitting right next to him. And me and my acquaintance get into a conversation about something, and then Nick joins into it. And after a couple minutes, it's just him and me talking about like, I don't even remember what, like Lord of the Rings and then some other things and video games. And then 5 minutes pass, and then he just asked me for my number. And then I'm like, cool. And then I'm still holding the plate of food, so I walk over to where my friends are, and then I died. But, so that was just like so crazy. And looking back, the timing of it was perfect because like the week before that, like the week and a half before that, 2 weeks, I was working on building friendships with people that I wouldn't have been able to build if I was distracted by like this. And so it was literally just like everything lined up perfectly. And then a week went by, I finished my Marian consecration. As soon as my consecration was done, which does require like a decent amount of time, and I was doing it in the evenings, suddenly Nick and I were like close enough acquaintances / friends that he would like ask me to come hang out with him like in the evening, like when his friends like, oh, we're gonna go play video games, or oh, we're gonna go watch a movie, you should come with. Lined up exactly with the end of my Marian consecration, and therefore when I had more free time. So like 3 weeks go by, we're like solid friends at this point, like talking every day or texting. We just have so much in common. I was like, this is crazy. I had a list that I'd created of like, there were things that were like non-negotiable, like strong faith, like is good with kids, respects women, like that kind of a thing. And then I had just a list of like green flags of like, well, this is cool, but like not necessarily a requirement. And I was kind of losing my mind because the more I learned about him, he hit every single one of them. I was like, this is not possible. There's no way. And he also looked like my anime crush I was fixated on when I was 16. So it's just really nuts. So I was like, okay, maybe he likes me. I can't really tell, but it's way too good to be true. So, this whole time I was just standing back, and I was like, if anything happens, I'll just let God like lead it. So he'll make the first move if there's anything that is going to happen, even though I really wanted to. And I was like, oh, okay, I think he likes me, or I'm like 60% sure, maybe. But if anything happens, I want to be able to work on some things of myself first. So I know I have some things I'd like to like work through or work on before getting to relationships. So like God just help me work on those. And something that I struggle with a lot is jealousy. And lo and behold, like a day later, I learned that one of our like mutual friends also has a crush on him. I was like, thanks. And yeah, it goes a little bit longer. So I'd known about 4 weeks. And then we went on winter break, which is 3 weeks, which is a long time. And, we were like, at this point I was even more confident he liked me after some things had happened. And then we like started by texting like every couple days. And then every day, I think Christmas Day, we started texting every single day, like just big paragraphs. And then by the time it hit New Year's, we were like, why don't we just call each other? So we were like on the phone for like 2 hours at a time. And then by the time we came back from this retreat thing I went on, we were just like video calling every day for like 2 hours. I remember I like got back from that at 1 a.m. We called for 2 hours, or like an hour and a half. And then at 3 p.m. we called for another 3 hours. That same day. And by the time we got to the end of it, I was like, and I had some information from like a mutual friend as well who knew him a little bit better. So like I went and asked her like, hey, is this normal? I was like 98% sure he liked me, but he just hadn't like said anything yet. So I was like, wasn't sure. But we get back to campus on January 9th, and as soon as he shows up, he's like, hey, you want to go on a walk? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So we're going on a walk, and then we come back, say hi to some friends, and he's like, you want to go on another walk? And I was like, why not? And so we went on another walk. We ended up in this like random parking lot, like on the edge of campus, because it was not as bright there and you could see the stars. So we're kind of just like looking at the stars, and he starts like very noticeably like shuffling his feet, or like kind of getting like, I don't know, there was a tone shift, and I kind of felt it was coming. But he was like, after about a minute, he got out like, hey, I think you're cool. Do you want to, like, would you be interested in pursuing a relationship or something? And I was like, yes. Yes, I would. And then we just kind of like kept walking around a little bit more. But I told him like that I had a crush on him for the past 3 months. if not, yeah, like 3-4 months. And he was like, yeah, that's crazy because I also had a crush on you for like a long time. And boy crushes work different than girl crushes, but he's like was able to, like he noticed me on the first day of school, like at the football game we went to, and he was like, yeah, weren't you sitting like in front of the pep band, like 5 rows, like a little bit over here? And I was like, yeah, I was. And then he remembered me doing something like the freshman retreat as well, like 2 weeks into school. So he had known me, like saw me around for a while, and also like thought I was pretty. So it's really funny how that worked out. There was something that I was wrestling with, like back before like the relationship started, or just with the idea of a relationship, of like people say that God will put someone into your life at the right time, and obviously you hear that a lot, but also it's like people say a lot that like your relationship with God needs to be sorted out before your relationship with a person can be sorted out, which is true, and it's good that to be striving towards that. But I was fixed on the idea of like, okay, it has to be like perfect almost, and that is not the case. And I think that was part of like God putting Nick into my life, is because I'm able to see God's love for me so much more like constantly and like presently through him than I would be in my life otherwise. Because I just sit there a lot and think like, well, if someone, like a singular person, can love me this much, then like God can love me like so much more than that. And that's, I think, been the biggest thing. That was like why God timed it the way he did, so that's how I can grow my relationship with God, is like through growing my relationship with another person in that way. And so that's been like one of the biggest things I think that God has taught me through that. But yeah.
And I love how you were pointing out that you don't have to have this perfect relationship with God to feel like you can have a relationship, with a significant other. That it's so true in marriage, even is we're trying to help each other grow in relationship with God. And so you can really bring the best out in each other and help each other grow in that relationship with God as well. Mm-hmm. But I think you're right. I think it was awesome that God was calling you to have a deeper relationship with him before your relationship with Nick as well. Mm-hmm. He wanted to see that sort of maybe first step, or, moving in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
If you guys enjoyed watching this and you want to see more like this, go ahead and like and subscribe. Hello and welcome to Kept in Her Heart, where we talk about all things faith-related. I forgot what to say next. Last try.
Like this every time?
All right, I got it this time. I'm feeling confident. Hello and welcome to Stop.
Yeah, she's out there like studying the ceiling. Wow, I did some good work up there.
Today our daughter Evie joins us. Nope, not my daughter. I mean, you are here, but nobody else knows that.
Our daughter.
Our daughter. Oliver's daughter. To talk about her journey and how God set us up. Wow. I know, we'll get there. Hello. What are we doing? Okay. I think it's you. I think it's your wonderful presence. It's just I'm more silly.